Hey, it's Mel, I hope you're doing well. Today's video is very different and I honestly am debating even posting this because I don't want to seem crazy. I'm mainly making this video to find anyone who has a rational explanation for me. If you hear talking or laughing, the TV is on downstairs and my mum and dad I think are watching TV down there, so apologies for the background noise. The background is different obviously because I'm sat on a cushion on the floor, because where I usually film I sit on a wooden chair and it's not the most comfortable and my room's quite small so it's not very spacious. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the paranormal events that have been going on in my house. That sentence coming out of my mouth, of all people, just sounds insane to me. I, to this day, even after what I've experienced, remain skeptical. If something odd happens and there's a slight chance of me explaining it in a rational, logical way, rather than paranormal, I'm going to go with the logical side of things. What I'm about to tell you that's been going on in my house, I can't find a rational explanation to it, so could you please help me out? So before I tell you what's been going on, let me just give you a little bit of background on my house and my family. So I come from a big family. I have a mum and a dad. I have three brothers. One of them is 4 years old. Then I've got my younger brother who's 16 and my twin who's 21. Two cats and a dog. My dog is called Max and he's a very good guard dog. I should also mention that where I live, the crime rate is very low. I live on a very boring street, nothing ever happens. This house that I'm living in, it was built in 1940, possibly earlier. I moved into this house in 2015. When I first stepped foot into the house, I didn't get any bad vibes, nothing, completely normal house. I can tell you that no one's died in this house, there's been no deaths on the property, nothing like that. And I'm going to say this once. My house is not the problem here. Throughout the years, me and my family have moved around houses quite a bit, and I'm not even lying. Every single house we've lived in, something paranormal has happened. So I don't know if my family just attracts that kind of crap. I don't want to attract it. I want nothing to do with it. I can't handle paranormal stuff happening like right in my face. I don't deal with it well. And throughout this video, I am going to try and include images as I'm telling the story, just to let you know where it took place. Now my dog, Max, who's 4, he is an American Bulldog. He is a good guard dog. If anyone, no matter who it is, knocks on the door just once, Max will go AWOL and start barking. Okay, so bear that in mind. Everything I'm about to tell you occurred from when I moved in from 2015 to current day. Side note, this video might be long because of all the shit that's happened throughout the years. I'm not even joking. Throughout the years of living here, when paranormal stuff has gone down, I've tried to film it 4 different times on 4 different occasions, and every single time without fail, when I try to film it, my phone goes black and turns off, even if it's at full charge. Or when I get to film it on video, the video goes completely blurry. It either goes blurry or my phone will turn off without any explanation. On the 3rd time something happened, I went to use my mum's phone because she had left the house and left her phone at home while it was on charge. I tried filming it and the same thing happened to my mum's phone, where her screen went completely blurry as I'm trying to get this shit on video. You can't make out a thing in the video, so there's no reason for my phone to be doing that just straight off the bat. On top of being skeptical, I have insomnia, I also have anxiety and memory problems due to me having a history of epilepsy. Now my epilepsy went away when I was 15 when I moved into this house. Me personally, I take Nitol tablets, they're sleeping tablets, now and then, not every day, just to get me back into the swing of things. There is nothing in these sleeping tablets to cause me to hallucinate or to see things. For privacy reasons, I'm not going to be saying my 16-year-old brother or my twin's name in this video. Throughout this video, if you see me looking to this side, it's because my laptop's right here, and I have a very old laptop. It's ridiculous. I need a new one. But over the years of living in this house, I've wrote down on my laptop the events that have occurred because I have memory problems, but certain events I've not been able to forget because they're just insane. So the very first things that happened were with the lights. Now I should probably preface this by saying that when me and my family got this house, we had to wait an extra like 4 or 5 months to move in because people were fitting new gas and electrics in the house, so that when we moved into the house we would have no problem with the gas or electrics. And I think every year a guy comes to the house to check the gas and electrics, and ours are all good, like there's no problem with it. So the first thing that happened was with the lights. Now I just wrote that off at first as an electrical problem as usual, and then things escalated to items being moved from smaller to large ones. I didn't start paying attention to it until it started happening with larger objects. Now, because I have insomnia, I don't sleep well from time to time, and I am forgetful naturally. I assumed that it was me moving stuff in my room, and I just wrote it off as that. So my bin that's right next to me, this happened in 2015, the very first year. One day I went into the shower room, took a shower, and when I came back into my room after having a shower, I opened my bedroom door to see my bin in the middle of the floor. Now this is odd to me since everyone else, including the dog and 2 cats and my brothers and my mum, everyone was downstairs. And bear in mind, at this point Matthew was not born yet. It was just my 2 brothers and my mum and dad and me. So when I open my door and see my bin in the middle of the floor, it looks odd to me because, like I said, I have 2 cats, and now and then the cats will do this thing where they'll be nosy and go into a room and they'll put their paws over the bin to like peer inside the bin for food. I don't know why they do this because we feed them very well, they're quite spoiled, but they do this, and when they do this the bin falls over because the cats are leaning on it. So when I go into a room and I see a bin on its side and rubbish everywhere, I know it's my cats doing it. But when I saw this bin just in the middle of my room, it legit looked like someone had just placed it there and walked away. So after seeing this, I obviously put the bin back. It's not any of my brothers playing a prank on me. And even if you're having a shower, the stairs creak so much and you can hear whoever's walking up and down the stairs. I didn't hear anyone. So I put the bin back, and after getting dressed, I go downstairs and I ask, like, who moved my bin? No one moved the bin. The next thing that happened a few years ago. I'm gonna say like 2016 when Matthew was born. And even though you can't see it, it's out of frame, there is a light right by my bed, and it's a white heart-shaped lamp, and it has like floral patterns built into the lamp so that when you turn it on it's very noticeable. It's a very bright lamp. Now this is a plug-in lamp. It has a bulb in it, it has a switch on it, but I never use that switch because I just turn it off at the plug. In fact, I rarely use that lamp because I have a main light in my room which I just flip on and off at the switch. I don't have any fancy light switches in my house, they're just normal flip on and off switches. So one night I was in my bed asleep, and it was like 2 in the morning. I hear something hit the floor and it woke me up. But then again, I didn't think anything of it and I went back to bed. And then I'd say like a minute later, or 2 minutes at the most, I see from the corner of my room that my lamp is flashing on and off, like someone's messing with it. Now obviously that wakes me up because I'm all disorientated, I can't see. So I get out of bed and I see the light flickering, and I'm just like pissed off because I thought someone had got into my room and was like messing with the lights. But I look to my door and it's shut how I left it. So I get out of bed, I go to turn my main light on, which is across the room, and the second I turn my main light on, that lamp stops flickering. So I go over to the end of my bed to see what's going on, and at first, me being skeptical, I thought that maybe the plug, like the lamp plug, wasn't fully in the socket and it was causing that glitching on and off light situation. But that was not the case, because when I went over to the end of my bed and looked at the plug socket, I almost had a heart attack because I'm not even lying. The lamp wasn't even plugged in. Like, it was switched on at the switch, but the plug itself to the lamp was on the floor. And this was odd because a week before this happened, my dad had got a new light bulb for that lamp. So again, there's no reason why it should be flickering. And that's when it occurred to me that that noise of something falling on the floor that I had heard before I woke up the second time, that might have been someone undoing the plug on the wall. So after this happens, I just grab my blanket, grab my phone, go downstairs and sleep on the couch the rest of the night. I didn't come back up to my room because I was really creeped out by that. The fact that my light was flickering, though it wasn't even plugged in for starters. So that's when I started like debating in my head, okay, do I believe in the paranormal? Is this something paranormal? The next thing that happened on a Friday around, I'm going to say 6 or 7 in the evening. I remember on this day it being very cold, so we had the heating on and we had all the windows and doors shut. I know this happened on a Friday because every 2 weeks on a Friday, me and my family order takeout and like we just watch TV in the living room and just chill. So when this happened, my mum, dad and my 16-year-old brother and my twin brother were in the living room when this happened. My mum and dad both spotted this like when it happened. So the living room door is a wooden door that has glass built into it, and the handle sometimes goes down because it's an old door, and this door didn't come with the house, by the way. My dad just fitted it. So the door handle sometimes goes down, and that's normal. That might happen in your house. So when the food got delivered to the house, my brothers took the bag of food to the living room table, and they were just going through it looking for their food, and I was waiting by the living room door waiting for my brother to hand me my food, and the living room door was open. Now, out of nowhere, as I'm stood by the door just waiting for my food to be handed to me, I see the door handle out of the corner of my eye move slightly, and then just for a split second the door handle goes up, like fully up, and then it goes down, and that's it. So when that happened, I just hear my mum go, "Ooh." I look up at my mum, and she had seen what had happened, and my dad had heard the door handle moving, so he looked. But like, the door handle for a split second goes up. I have never in my life seen a door handle go up. So that's why I write it off as paranormal. I don't know, maybe there's a rational explanation to that. These next two things happened in 2017 when I was in my first year of college. But with my college timetable, I had Thursdays and Fridays off. I was only in college for 3 days a week. On the days that I had college, I would be the first one to wake up. I would wake up legit 6:15 or 6:30. Now, I love coffee, I live on it, and every single morning of college I would go downstairs into the kitchen and make myself a cup of coffee. Now, the back door to my house is located in the kitchen, and right next to the back door is this bin that we have. It's a silver big bin, and it has a lip on the bottom of it, so you don't have to ever touch the bin. In order to open it, you step on this lip, and if you want to shut the bin, you take your foot off the lip and the bin lid closes. I go downstairs into the kitchen and I step on a stool to grab a cup from one of the cupboards, and as I grab a cup from the cupboard, I hear a noise behind me, like continuously. I turn around, the bin is opening and closing on its own. But here's the weird part, the bottom of the bin where you step on that lip thing to open it, there was no movement on that, it was tucked away, so I know no one's stepping on the bin. But the bin lid itself, only that was moving. It just looked as if someone was just opening the bin lid itself, and it did that about 4 times. So I was freaked out. So what do I do after that? Nothing. I just put my cup back, go upstairs and just chill. I don't even make my coffee, I just have coffee at college because I'm not dealing with that. The next thing that happened was with a kitchen drawer, and we call it the junk drawer because in this drawer we have a bunch of random stuff in it, and it's a bugger to shut and open this drawer. It's not something you can do lightly, you have to shut it with some force and do the same when opening it. When someone opens and closes this drawer, you can hear it because it has a distinct sound to it. Like, it's a noisy ass bugger of a drawer. This happened around 1 or 2 in the evening, and I was not in college on this day. I had a day off, so it would have been on a Thursday or Friday. I was going downstairs to put a cup on the kitchen counter. Once I get to the few last steps, I hear the drawer in the kitchen open, and I think nothing of it. I'm like, oh, my mum's in the kitchen, like, someone's in the kitchen, because I just had the drawer open. The second I get to the bottom of the stairs, all I have to do is look to the right of me, and there's the kitchen. So I go into the kitchen and I put my cup on the counter, and as I put my cup on the counter, I look and I see the junk drawer shutting on its own. And like I said, you can't just shut this slowly and quietly. No, you have to use some force. I just see the drawer go so quick, just shut right in front of me. No one was in the kitchen because I checked. I went into the front room and asked, when was the last time anyone was in the kitchen? And everyone said an hour ago. Matthew, who was asleep upstairs, and then my twin was upstairs with Max. It was just the 2 cats, my mum and dad, and my 6-year-old brother in the front room. They were watching the TV. And I should mention that my house is not built on like a hill or anything. It's just stable ground. So I don't understand why that would be happening. This next thing happened in 2018 at night around 11:40. I remember I had college the next day, and I would usually go to bed at like 12 a.m. I remember I was just sat on my bed on my laptop, and I usually sit with like one leg tucked and the other hanging off my bed. That's just what's comfortable to me. And I should mention this, that my bedroom door is the only door upstairs that's wooden, and at the bottom of it there is a huge gap because in order for my dad to fit my door on my frame, he had to cut the bottom of it, so there will forever be a gap at the bottom of my door, and a lot of wind comes to underneath the door. and if a light is on in the hallway upstairs, you can see the light because of the gap in my door. The gap is like this big, okay, that's quite a lot of space. So I'm on my bed, minding my own business. I've got my foot dangling off my bed, and I have a draft excluder, but I don't use it 24/7. On this night, I wasn't using the draft excluder, and I noticed a really cold draft, and I'm like, a window must be open in this house. So I opened my bedroom door and I looked down the stairs, and I'm not kidding, the front door was halfway open. You could be the most forgetful person on the planet, but you would never forget to shut your front door. No one in my family has ever done that, okay? We don't just leave our door open at night randomly. So at this point we had a painted red door, and it was wooden, and it came with the house when we first moved in. But now we have a new white door, and we had two locks on this door, like a bolt lock and then a chain lock. It just came with the house when we bought it. So I look down the stairs and I see the door halfway open. Now my dad was the last person to go upstairs that night to bed. Swears on his life like he shut and locked that door good. So I go downstairs and I have the urge to just look around the house, and no one's in the house. My first thought was, what if someone's broken in? But then again, that thought quickly left my mind. Like I said, there's no crime where we live, and Max is also a good guard dog. Like I said before, if he hears a faint noise, he starts barking. So if someone had broken into my house, number one, I would have heard Max barking, and number two, I would have heard a window break or something like that. Heard nothing. And here's the weird part, Max didn't bark. Like, he didn't hear this door open or anything. But my dad swears up and down like he shut that front door. So I go downstairs, no one's in the house, and then I text my mom because I had my phone with me, and she comes downstairs and she's like, why is the door open? I said, I don't know. She shuts the door and we go to bed. We don't think anything of it, but I couldn't help but think in that moment that it's weird the door's open. Like, in order to open that door, you have to undo like 2 locks. So that's a bit odd. My dad didn't forget to shut the door. I also noticed that my cats and dog keep acting up. Like, for example, my cat, Kit Kat and Gizmo, they're both very well-behaved cats. Like, you could have a party around my cats and they won't be bothered. They'll just be peacefully sleeping in their bed. Kit Kat is a very calm cat, and Gizmo's more adventurous. He likes going outside, but they're not naughty cats. So now and then over the years, I've noticed whether it's morning or night, that, by the way, this stuff happens like randomly. It could happen twice a week, once a month, just that complete random, and it's in the morning, evening, night, it doesn't matter. I've noticed throughout the years that my cats could be anywhere in the house, but they'll randomly stop and start hissing at like a door or a wall randomly. And I don't understand, there's nothing on the wall for them to be hissing at. And when they hiss and growl, they make this gurgling, creepy ass noise. And they're standing on their hind legs, staring at something like fixated. I physically have to go over and like put my hand on the cat in order for him to like snap out of it. And one time, I'm not even joking, both of the cats were in the same position, hissing and growling and meowing, fixated, and they were looking at something that was on the hallway. Like, not even blinking, just like fixated on something. But again, I just wrote this off as, oh, it was this, oh, it was that, and then just moved on with my life. But then the dog started doing the same thing, like growling and barking at nothing, just a random wall, and I don't understand why. When Matthew was first born, as a baby, when my mum would be sat on the couch feeding him, he'd always be laughing and like pointing at something on the wall that was behind her. There's nothing on the wall in the living room that Matthew can be entertained by. Also, one night, one of Matthew's toys went off. Like, someone pushed it from the coffee table in the living room, from there to the carpet, and that's quite a distance, and it was a red big fire truck that Matthew had. The only time that toy would go off is if someone was putting it away, like cleaning up, or if Matthew was playing with it. This toy runs on batteries, and when the batteries start to run out, the toy makes this weird sound, but it wasn't making any weird sounds. I just heard something rolling in the living room as I was in the kitchen at night getting a glass of water. I go into the living room because I'm like, what is that sound? And Matthew's toy, swear to God, is like moving across the living room floor from the coffee table to the carpet, and the carpet was right in front of the fireplace. So that moves. The second it stops moving, I go upstairs and just shut my door. There's no reason for Matthew's toy to be acting up. This next thing happened in 2016 when Matthew was just a baby, and he would be sleeping in his cot most of the time upstairs in his room that he shares with my mum and dad. Now, I was the only female upstairs on this day, and on this day I was at home just doing homework on my laptop with my bedroom door shut, and this was on one of those days where I was not in college. So I'm doing my work, I'm drinking coffee, like minding my own business, and it was a quiet day, and half of my street is filled with kids, and at this point it was 12 p.m, so all of the kids and toddlers would obviously be at nursery, primary school, high school, whatever. No kids would be on my street at this point. So I'm at home, my mum and dad are downstairs, they're in the living room with the living room door open, and I hear my mum at the bottom of the stairs, because this is her experience. She was at the bottom of the stairs and she says up and down, like swears it, she heard a female voice say "Mum" really loud, and she said that it was coming from the top of the landing where the stairs are. Now, I had my earphones in, one of them wasn't working, so I had one of them out, like only one side was working, and I hear my mum at the bottom of the stairs just say "yeah," but I don't know who she was responding to. I hear my mum walking up the stairs and I hear her going to her room to check on Matthew, and then like 5 seconds later I hear a knock at my door. I get off my bed, I open my door, and side note, this is something that everyone does before entering my room. They'll knock and say my name before I open the door. So my mum knocks on the door, she says Mel, I open my door just to see my mum pissed. Like, she looks annoyed. She's standing there like, and I'm looking at her like, can I help you? And she says, Matthew's asleep, why did you call me? I didn't say a word, nothing. And I'm just looking confused, and my mum can obviously tell I'm confused. And she knew, like, I'm not playing a joke on her, I didn't do anything, didn't say a word. I told her, like, Mum, I didn't say anything, I swear down. So she goes downstairs, and I had an empty cup that I had to bring downstairs. So I get the cup and I follow her downstairs. She goes into the living room, I go into the kitchen, put my cup on the counter. And as I'm going back upstairs, I'm thinking nothing of it. I just thought in the moment, maybe my mum's hearing something or a window's open. But as I turn to go upstairs, I hear my dad say to my mum, so what was Mel yelling about? Later on that day, I questioned my mum about it, and I said, you and Dad both heard it. She told me that her and Dad, at the same time, both heard someone, a female voice, from the upstairs landing say, Mum. And I thought that it was maybe someone outside yelling for their mum, but once again, all the kids are at school. So just to clear my mind, I went upstairs and checked all the windows. Every window upstairs was shut. There was no explanation for it. My mum swears up and down she heard a female voice call her name like Mum from the landing. And I was the only female upstairs, and it sure as shit wasn't me. I should also mention that the TV downstairs was off. This next thing that happened, this happened during the weekend, midday. I was home alone, and my mum and dad had taken my 16-year-old brother like clothes shopping, and they obviously took Matthew with him, and he was in his car seat, and they all left in the car. Now my twin brother had taken the dog Max out on a walk, and 5 minutes before this happened, I had let my second cat Gizmo out. So Kit Kat was in the living room with me, sat on the couch right next to me. Where I'm sat in the living room, my bedroom is located right above my head, and I hear out of nowhere someone walking out of my room and onto the landing, from the landing to my room, landing my room, back and forth. So I'm sat there, and when I hear this, I turn the TV down, and it's still happening, and I'm sat here confused because I know I'm the only one in the house. So who is walking upstairs? So I calm down, I'm like, just calm down, if there's a logical answer, just calm down. So I think that maybe the heating's on and it's causing like the pipes in the floorboard to expand and make that noise. But again, there's a huge difference between the heating being on and hearing pipes expand to hearing someone walking on wood. So I hear this from the living room. I'm sat on the couch and I'm just like, what the heck is that? So my thought, like I said before, I thought the heating was on. So I go out of the living room, I check the thermostat, you know that thing that controls the heating? Ours is located at the bottom of the stairs. I go to check the heating to see if it's on. The heating is off. And as I'm stood at the bottom of the stairs, I can hear it. Like something is walking on the wood. It's like they're pacing. I go upstairs and obviously nothing's there. I can't see anything wrong. Nothing's on the hallway. I go back downstairs and I sit down. And I'm thinking, just ignore it. It's nothing. So I'm sat down. I say this went on and off for like 2 minutes. After this kept happening, I got really annoyed because whatever it was, it's so loud and I can't hear the TV. Like I'm getting pissed or whatever this is. So I go to the bottom of the stairs and I don't ask me why I did this, but I did. I just randomly shout, "Shut up." And this is what leads me to think it's paranormal because I'm not even joking. The second I yell, "Shut up," the noise stops. And it never did it again. That creeped me out quite a bit, so I went into the front room, I called my mum on the phone and I explained to her, like, "Where are you? How far away are you from the house?" And she says, "Well, 5 minutes." So I tell her on the phone, like, "I can hear someone walking on the landing upstairs," and my mum panicked thinking that someone had broken into the house. And I explained to her, no one's in the house, I can just hear someone walking. My mum's response on the phone was, "Right, we'll be home in 5 minutes." And I tell my mum what happened and she was like weirded out by that. And that was the last time that I refused to be in the house alone. On another occasion, I think this was in like 2016 because I remember Matthew was a baby and he was asleep in his cot. Now everyone else was out of the house apart from me and my mum and the 2 cats. And the 2 cats were in the living room. I decided to sit down with my mum and watch the TV. And 5 minutes into watching the programme, I said, "Why don't I make us a brew?" So I go into the kitchen, I make the tea, and about 5 minutes after I've made the tea, I walk into the living room. Because Max is an American Bulldog and he rips toys apart, we have to get him specific toys, like ones that are indestructible. And at this point, Max had a big red ball with like a handle on it. And so as I'm holding the cups of tea and I'm passing the stairs, out of the corner of my eye, I see the ball at the top of the stairs, and there was no windows upstairs open. I see it go down the stairs. It starts rolling down the stairs. And I just watched this happen. As it rolls down the stairs, I'm expecting it to like bash up against the front door because the front door is right in front of the stairs. You got steep stairs. If a ball comes down the stairs, it hits the door. It didn't do this. The ball went down the stairs and just stopped moving. It looked as if someone had just placed their hand in front of the ball to stop it moving. Once it stops moving, I think nothing of it. I just think, okay, weird, whatever, and I go into the front room. As I'm walking into the front room, I hear something rolling. It's the damn ball. Bear in mind that there is a lip on the doorway of the living room, and it went over that lip, not stopping, rolled, and I saw it. It was heading towards the table, and I was expecting it to once again just roll under the table and stop. Nope. As it got this close to the table, it turned direction as if someone had moved it and continued rolling until it stopped in the middle of the carpet. Me and my mum saw that, and after it stopped rolling, we looked at each other like, okay. Another thing that my friends will attest to, like they're witnesses to this, I've been on video calls with my mates and out of nowhere, like I'll hear a door shut and it's always my mum and dad's door. I've heard this happen on 2 occasions apart from each other and it's always their door. I don't know why. On one occasion when the door shut, I was actually on video call at home with one of my mates and in mid-conversation my mate interrupts me and says, "Did I just hear a door shut?" And I did, but I didn't say anything because I thought I was just hearing things. And no, at this point, no one was upstairs. Everyone was downstairs. My brother was taking the dog out on a walk. So no one was upstairs at that point, not even Matthew. Only like one tiny window in my room was open, but no other windows were open. So there was no reason for the doors to be shutting on its own. The next thing that happened was in 2017 when I was in college and my dad and I were in the car and my dad was driving me to college. It was early in the morning and again it's just me and my dad in the car. So my dad's driving the car, everything's fine, and then out of nowhere our car alarm to let someone know that the seatbelt is not on starts going off. Our car had sensors in it and it could tell when someone was sat in the seat and if they did not have their seatbelt on. So my dad looks at the monitor or whatever and he can see see that the seatbelt alarm is flashing, and the car is letting him know that someone is sat in the middle seat behind us. So once the car stops at a red traffic light, I turn around. Obviously no one's there, but the seatbelt is not on, and the car alarm is like wow wow wow, like going off mad. And while the car is at a stop, I lean back and I put the seatbelt on, and the alarm stops. Now here's the weird part, and I know for a fact it's not just our car playing up, because 2 weeks before this happened, the car had gone through an inspection. Like, a guy had come to look at the car and check that everything was working well, and it was. There was nothing wrong with the car, so there's no reason for that to be going off. The seatbelt alarm was so loud and just kept telling us, like, hey, someone's sat in the middle seat behind you and they've not got their seatbelt on. This next thing was an experience from my dad, and this happened a while ago. I'm going to say like 2017 or 18. And my dad, it was at night around like 9 o'clock. My dad was watching a TV show, and then he was planning to go to bed. Now, he was downstairs in the living room, and the living room door was open. Bear in mind, he's the only one downstairs. And my dad was on the couch. He was just watching his program, having a drink of water, minding his business, when out of nowhere, my wheelchair that was placed in front of the living room, and it was by the table, like the big table that we have dinner at. My dad, who is afraid of nothing, sees out the corner of his eye movement. He looks and sees my wheelchair, which is not on brakes. He sees it moving from the big table to the living room door. Now, that is quite a distance. And at first my dad thought it was maybe a floorboard over there was uneven and it was making the chair move, something like that. But then he started to panic, because as the chair moved all the way to the door, the living room door, it then moved back from the living room door back to the table. It just went very slowly. If anyone's questioning like why there's a wheelchair, it's mine. I have a skeletal dysplasia, I have a disability. The second it stops moving, my dad gets his drink, gets his phone, and just goes upstairs, and he bolts. I'm not asleep at this point, I'm just in my room, in my bed, and I can hear someone like running upstairs. The next morning I wake up and I'm like, hi, who was running upstairs last night? Like, it sounded urgent. My dad comes forward, says it was him, and I say, why? What happened? And he said, I ran upstairs because I was scared. To hear my dad say that he was scared, that was just laughable, because my dad, like I said, he's not afraid of anything. That really creeped my dad out, and it would me as well. The last thing that I'm going to talk about, and the reason why I'm filming this video right now, this happened a week ago, and I'm in my room, I'm on my bed, and I'm just looking at my phone, and I'm, trying to go to bed, and I wasn't using my draft excluder. Like, there is a huge gap where my dad had to cut the door. And like I said before, I can see if a light's on. At this point, the landing light was on, so obviously I can see the landing light on from underneath the door. I'm on my bed, I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'd say this happened around like 11 or 12, around that time frame. And I see that someone's at my door. Like, I can see the outline of someone's feet, and I assumed it was like my mom or my brother or something. And I see the outline of someone's feet underneath my door, and I can see a gap like where their legs would be apart. Point being, this was a human being's shadow. But like I mentioned before, if someone's at my door and they want something, they'll knock and say my name. I didn't hear a knock, I didn't hear anyone's voice, that person didn't leave my room. I turn around and I say, yeah. I didn't hear a response, no knock, no walking away, no footsteps, nothing. I respond again, yeah, nothing. I start getting annoyed, so I get out of bed, I go to answer the door. As I'm walking to my bedroom door to open it, that person didn't leave the door, they were still there. I open my bedroom door, no one's there. So, just to rationalise my mind, just to not freak out, I look on the landing and I'm thinking, is there something that could have caused that shadow? There is nothing on the landing. Then I thought, what if it's the other cat Gizmo? Maybe it was his shadow. That's just what I thought to keep my mind at peace. But I know what I saw was not an animal or Max's paw. It was a human, like, pair of feet. It was a human shadow. And I'm thinking, it must have been the cat. Go downstairs, I look under the tables, I look everywhere. Gizmo is not in the house. Kit Kat is in the house, and he's in my room upstairs. So, It can't have been the cat, it can't have been Max because he was locked in the boys' room and the boys' room was shut. Now, I should mention, whenever anyone opens and shuts my brother's door, it makes this annoying squeak sound, and it does the same with the toilet door that's right next to my room on the right. I then thought that maybe it would be one of my brothers playing a prank on me. Let's say it was my brother and they ran downstairs. I would have heard the stairs. I would have heard something. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear breathing. I didn't hear knocking. No response. Nothing. It's as if someone was just standing at my door for nearly a good minute. By the way, if the hall light wasn't on, I wouldn't have noticed that underneath my door. To look for a rational explanation, I open my brother's door, obviously it squeaks. I go into their room and I tapped my brother, like my twin, on the head, just to see if he was faking being asleep. He was asleep. I go up the ladders of the boys' bunk bed to see my 6-year-old brother, who is snoring. He is dead ass asleep. I then thought, what if it's my mom and she's pretending to be asleep? Like, someone has to be pranking me. So I go to my mom's room and obviously Matthew's asleep in his cot and I can hear my dad snoring, so I know he is asleep. I tap my mum on the foot. She doesn't respond. She's dead ass asleep. So I know for a fact it can't have been any of the cats. Number one, Gizmo isn't in this house. And number two, Kit Kat is in my room and he was never on the landing. Number three, everyone's asleep and Max is in the boys' room, which was locked. Not locked, but the door was shut. So, what the fuck was that? It was my question, because like, I saw someone's feet. There's no denying that. So at this point, I'm kind of freaking out. I'm trying to look for a logical explanation, but I can't find one. I just see someone standing at the bottom of my door. If it was some chance my brother playing a prank on me, I would have heard footsteps, I would have heard them shut the door, then I would have heard them getting into bed. Now, like I said, my brothers have a bunk bed that they share, and this bunk bed, it's creaky. If you even lightly put a toe on it, it creaks a ton. So I didn't hear creaking, I didn't hear nothing. Bear in mind, my brother's room is right next door to me. I was just chilling on my bed and I see a pair of feet. Hi, just putting this clip in really quickly, just ignore the background. A lot of times when people are telling paranormal stories, they want proof. My mum was there for half of this crap, so she's in the background right now. She doesn't want to be on video, that's fine. I'm just going to let her tell you what happened with the ball rolling situation. And then, I didn't know this until just now, but my mum just told me that she remembers me and her in the front room, and my mum herself saw the wheelchair in the front room move at one point, but I'm just going to let my mum talk on what the hell happened.
Just to say really that I remember us sitting on the couch and we heard something bouncing and then we saw a ball roll into the front room and then sort of stop midway and then start rolling towards us, but also then the wheelchair was right next to the dining table and that rolled like a foot forward as well.
Was that the same time that that ball was rolling?
Yes, because the ball went behind the wheelchair. You remember the ball part, don't you? But
yeah,
you don't remember the wheelchair.
See what I mean? I only remember the ball rolling. I don't even remember the wheelchair. So, Mum, you saw the wheelchair move after the ball rolled?
Yes, it freaked a pair of us out.
I remember the ball rolling and then us looking at each other like the fuck, because last time I checked, the balls can't roll on carpets that are really thick, because we had a big carpet at this point. So you can confirm that that was something paranormal. It's not like the wind.
You are telling the truth.
Okay. She doesn't lie about paranormal stuff. In fact, the person to have the most insane paranormal shit happen in their life is my mum. Before, I told you guys about my mum who heard a voice, or claimed that she heard a female voice from the upstairs on the landing. She is there.
And Dad heard it. We both heard it.
This is why I explained. Both Mum and Dad with the living room door open. The TV was off at this point. They both heard at the same time a female voice from upstairs say,
and we
Mum.
both thought it was you. Me and Dad both heard it, and we said, "Oh, I wonder what she wants. I'll go up and see what she wants."
Because I came downstairs.
And then you swore down blind that you had not called me.
I didn't, literally. I just heard like you respond, yeah, but I'm thinking who the fuck is she responding to, because
I'll be there in a minute.
Like, but bear in mind,
I shouted up the stairs, I'll be there in a minute.
At first I thought my mum was just like a lunatic and just didn't sleep. Like she was. I'm a rational mind over here. I think that she was just hearing stuff. But when I came downstairs to take a cup down and I saw my mum going into the living room, the first thing my dad says to my mum is, "What was Mel yelling about?"
Because Dad heard it as well.
And at first I thought, okay, let's not go crazy. Let's say that a window was open. Maybe my mum and dad were just hearing something from outside.
There.
She's making a face. She's like, bullshit, I heard a voice upstairs.
How could we both hear the same thing and be wrong?
And then me, my dad and my mum believe in this thing. My dad was the first one who saw the wheelchair like move a good distance. But you can confirm there's weird stuff in his house.
Oh, definitely. And it mostly happens to you.
See, this is what I mean. Oh, as the years have gone on, it just takes an interest in me. The person who's the most skeptical human being who wants nothing to do with it.
Sorry to interrupt, but did you tell them about when you heard footsteps?
I did,
And no
I
one
did.
was in.
I told you before in the video about my experience when I was home alone and I heard someone walking. So do you want to explain that situation when I called you after this happened? I said, hey, someone's walking upstairs. My mum was like, what? I said, what was your response?
It freaked me out.
She was
worried me.
like, right, I'll be home in 5 minutes. Obviously, she came home and I explained the situation. And I've also told them about that drawer in the kitchen that just opens.
Oh, the one that opens and closes by itself.
My dad's also felt like people touch his arm and stuff, like as he's walking past.
Yeah, he's felt someone, like, sitting down on the end of the bed.
And there's no one there when he turns to look. But like, you heard it from my mum. I'm not on drugs, okay? I rarely drink. Okay? So you can confirm that this house has got ghosts in it.
Probably.
Oh.
It's mostly you these things happen to.
Do you see what I mean?
Whoever it is likes you.
I don't want to be liked by spirits. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.